This episode of Talkitecture is brought to you by Rode Microphones, the official microphone of the Loudspeakers Network. Since building our studio, we teamed up with Rode because we wanted the best in microphones, and Rode offers professional broadcast quality mics. We've been using the Rode Procaster now for a few months, and the audio quality is amazing, and the Procaster is one of the best mics for podcasting. To get more information on the Rode Procaster and Rode's other microphones, go to Rode.com. That's RODE.com. Internets, I can't believe y'all came back for another podcast. Y'all must not have nothing to fucking do. But I'll tell you what, today you're going to get hooked the fuck up. This is the reason why we started this Talkitecture podcast in the first place. This is the real reason we started, so I could have someone in the room like the gentleman I have in here with us tonight. Tonight we brought in a legend, a living legend, because he's not dead yet. He is old as fuck, but he's not dead yet. And what's very important is that as we love this culture, this genre of hip-hop, it's important to understand that culture, art, knowledge of self does not begin with hip-hop. Hip-hop is part of the continuity of this thing, but it's infinity that we're talking about. Actually, we have one of the infinity stones in the room with us tonight. Internet, we're sitting in here tonight with my man, my brother, Ernie Paniccioli.
Yo, clap it up.
Ernie. Let me just preface real quick to the listener. I've known your work way before I knew you. Seen your imagery way before I got to meet you. And the delight in meeting you, even before I even met you physically, was talking with you online and understanding that the person who created these images that I loved the energy behind those images and believed in the purity of those moments and saw this art form, this culture disintegrating from corporatization, and was willing to put it all in the line, was willing to say, you know what, I don't give a fuck if I make another dime from rap and hip-hop again, because what y'all are doing with this shit now is y'all are fucking it up, y'all are bastardizing it. And you sent off those warning shots when I guess everybody else was just too busy partying, too busy popping champagne. Why?
In 2002, I did a book called Who Shot You? And it was a rhetorical question because I'd shot thousands of people by that time with a camera. I'm not a violent person unless you get on the wrong side. And the genesis of the book was more interesting than the book because HarperCollins, who was the publisher, was owned by the most evil man on earth. Mm. And that's Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch was the virus behind Fox News and all that other reality TV and just all the filth around the world can go back to his door. And the man is a man without a soul, a golem. Anyhow, I had done a essay for the book, and it was called The Coming Colonization of Hip-Hop. He obviously is doing his homework. The devil never sleeps, and he read it, and he sent a memo to HarperCollins saying that he does not want that essay in the book. And at that time, I put some money on the table. They gave me $85,000 for my first book, which is about 4 or 5 times, 6 times what they normally give an author for the first book. But the reason they gave it to me was I didn't give a shit if I did a book or not, and they wanted what I had, et cetera, et cetera. So when they told me I couldn't have my essay in the book, I said, good. I'll keep the advance. You all just, keep the pictures, whatever. I'm not going to do the book. So protecting the innocent or the ignorant, I won't put names into it, but finally I told them I'm not going to do the book, and I was told, you'll never do another book, blah, blah. I was like, shit. At that time I had lived 55 years without a book, and I knew I could live another 55 without a book. And the money, I didn't give a shit. I had enough money, so there was nothing they could do, you know, to cock block me. So 2 weeks later, I get a call. They're going to put the essay in the book, and it's called The Coming Colonization of Hip Hop. But guess what? The devil had the last laugh, because hundreds of people have told me they love my pictures in the book. They love my. I don't think there's 3 people on the face of the earth that ever read the articles. Okay? And yet, if you go back and read it, it's prophecy, and it tells you what these devils are going to do, these clowns are going to do with hip-hop. Mm-hmm. And just yesterday, if you go on my Facebook, you'll see that somebody in Canada did a T-shirt. Go on my Facebook and read. I want you to read, or let me read. I had done a speech in Toronto, and someone actually listened, and they put it on a T-shirt, and they said what hip-hop will be. It's a black shirt, just a black shirt on that.
But I tell you what, Ernie, I guess that's what empowered me to feel so free, to be so fearless, and to say, fuck that, this flag that you put down, I'm gonna go stand by this flag also.
Absolutely.
Brother, we've been challenged since the time we first came on this earth. We've been challenged, and you have to understand what motivates me and gives me the spiritual power to do what I do. And that's the fact that I was taught early on that everything that happens to you is a test.
Yes.
Now, if she knows that me and my boys are going to grab her and rough her up, or, you know, as an initiation, it ain't going to bother her. But if she walk into the elevator and some clowns jump her, it's going to upset her. So whatever we do with her, and she know we're going to do it, and it's part of, you know, the training or whatever, it's okay. It don't matter, because she knows. But if with that element of surprise, there's nothing they can do to us that we don't know. These clowns, these little Negroes, I'm appalled. Man, come here, let me smack you and unappall you. Okay? We know we are not welcome. We know the whole game. We know that they listened to hip-hop. They watched the moves. They saw the energy. And they said, we took everything away from them. They got no money. They got nothing. And yet, they created hip-hop. And if you go to the poorest place in Jamaica, that created Shantytown, that created reggae. If you go to the whorehouses of, New Orleans, that's where they created jazz. If you go to the slave quarters, that's where they created the blues. So poverty and hunger and despair and anger and soul creates all this. So we don't look. We're not wanted anyway. No matter what they give us, they can take it away. Look at Dr. Cosby. Okay, I could go on and on. Today they had Morgan Freeman because he said some girl something. You know.
They didn't. I don't even understand. They didn't even have sexual harassment in the 1700s. How did they even get that on tape?
Brother,
Morgan Freeman sexually harassed somebody.
Nah, bro, leave that alone.
Rape is rape, bro. They get that on video.
I'm not fucking with y'all tonight.
I mean, the Salem. Morgan Freeman goes back to the Salem witch trials.
Yo,
that's when he was an adult.
This dude.
Listen.
Anyhow, getting back.
Right, Ernie. So speaking of Ernie.
Getting back to the subject at hand. If this gentleman was more adroit, well, you just passed it back. I can see it here out of the corner of my eye, and you can't see it. Keep going. It's a goddamn black shirt. Keep going. Keep going. What is that?
There it is. There it is. There it is. It's right there.
Damn, Holmes.
It took him forever.
Easy. Really, Joy?
It took him forever.
Anybody want me to?
I'm on Ernie's side all night. I'm on Ernie's side all night.
He's closer to it.
We got King.
Wait.
I'll read it.
One at a time.
Go, King.
Yes.
Go. Read it. This is background. This is a speech I did in Toronto, and I was angry as hell when I did it. Not angry, just disappointed because people were allowing this to be taken from us and trying to quantify and qualify it. Go ahead, brother. Read what the shirt says.
Yes. The spirit of hip-hop. What is hip-hop? We're living in a strange time where we have colonized people, we have digital devices that control our waking and going to sleep in our daily lives. People are addicted to technology, what John Trudeau called technologic, meaning technical no logic. Hip-hop to me is essentially native culture. In the 21st century technology sense, it is a manifestation and reincarnation of our ancient spiritual, indigenous vibrations. So we have to use hip hop as a healing tool. The DJ is the drum, the MC is the storyteller, the b-boy is the dancer, and the graffiti artist is the sand painter.
Anyhow, they cannot take hip-hop from us because hip-hop, this is what we call it now. We called it 1,000 things. It had 1,000 names, okay? It was the first orgasm that we had. It was the first kiss that we had. It was the first song that we heard. It's the first time we ate a piece of chicken. It's the first time we swam in water. It's the first, it's always going to be there. They can't take it from us. They can't control it. They can't limit it. They can't modify it. All they can do is screw it up, okay, and water it down and weaken it. That's all they can do. That's all they can do. And that will only affect us if we allow it to affect us, and it will only diminish our art if we allow it to diminish our art. Be fearless, brothers and sisters. Nobody gets out of here alive. Be fearless. I'm not telling you be stupid, run in front of a truck. No. But be fearless. When you become fearless, your enemy, you can hear his anus go shrinking.
You can hear his heartbeat.
Yeah.
Shaking like on the concrete.
That's right. As you pat your feet.
Who shot you?
Yeah.
Who shot you?
Chicken and down.
So just for some backdrop, for those of you who don't know, I'm in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. The Zulu Nation called me the sixth element of hip hop.
Damn right.
The New York Film Festival, Big Apple Film Festival, took a movie that I did, someone did on my life, and they gave us Best Documentary 2007. I did a book called Who Shot You, which became the New York Public Library Book of the Month. I'm working, I have a book coming out in October called Hip Hop, and I hope it's not prophecy, but with this orange clown up there, it may be the name of the book, and it came to a brother in a dream, and he shared it with me. It's called Hip Hop at the End of the World. Mm-hmm. Try to go to sleep with that on your mind. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's coming out in October, and it's on Rizzoli. And I'm very blessed to have.
Rizzoli is nice.
Yeah, I'm blessed because my editor is a Filipino who for 4 years in college had a hip-hop radio station. So he actually knows more data than I do. He knows the subject. He loves the subject. He loves true hip-hop, old-school hip-hop, and real hip-hop. So it's a pleasure working with him. The first book I did, it was like working... it was like I was working with anal warts. It was terrible.
But what's funny is like I own that book, and I didn't know who Ernie was. I was given the book as a gift.
You didn't read it.
Listen,
I just looked at the pictures.
I looked at the pictures. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, the pictures are incredible.
The pictures are amazing.
Who gave you the book?
One of my friends.
Fuck that nigga.
Fuck that nigga. Want some real shit? Fuck that nigga.
I mean, what's incredible to me, Ernie, too, is there's a time, and it's described in these pictures, and it is the shots which are so candid.
Thank you.
And it's almost like you're.
It's not pretty.
But you're part of it. I'm looking at some of your candid shots of Biggie, and I asked you. I said, "Man, Ernie, is there a time when Biggie wasn't sweating?"
Don't talk to him.
You're catching Biggie working and just in
living. The moment.
And I mean, how did you gain access to these folks when they were as comfortable as they were?
Look at me, man. Come on. The only people that are uncomfortable with me are people that are uncomfortable with themselves. I go in a room with 300 people. I leave with 299 friends and one hater. And, it's my nature, man. It's my spirit. I can't explain it. Why is somebody tall or dark or, cross-eyed or, have big hands or small hands? It's something bigger than us. But part of it is, and I have to borrow this from Sly Stone, they were interviewing him once on some honky jive radio TV show, and they said, "How come you're so cool?" He said, "Well, first thing you got to do is realize the earth is round." So, I was like, the interviewer almost jumped under his desk. He was like, "Oh, I'm dead." But, I remember Arsenio Hall interviewing Miles and asking him about his technique with his mouth with the trumpet. So Miles got real quiet and looked at him, and said, "Well, bruh, it's like kissing. It's like kissing a woman." And he looked at Arsenio and said, "You ever kiss a woman?" I fell off the couch. I was like, so it is what it is, man. It is, that's, anybody knows me knows. And most people, I don't know why, are smart enough not to cross certain lines. Tonight somebody did, but I gave him a one-time pass because he didn't know. You don't go to the zoo and put your hand in the lion cage. That's just, nothing personal, very personal.
But hold on for a second.
Yes, sir.
You do if you're young. You do if you're still not adept at noticing your surroundings.
Or if you're suicidal.
No, I wouldn't say suicidal.
Ernie, I'll tell you something, man. I was talking to somebody about this earlier today, just talking about New York. I think we touched on this a little bit before the mics went on, how different the city was. Riding the train, watching kids with $300 sneakers on just walk around. It's beautiful. It's safe. That comes with a mentality, right? That safeness comes with a mentality. So, like, kids are just like, hey, man, they'll just ask a question or they'll touch something. There's a freedom in that, right? And that's beautiful to me. At the same time, it's like, bro, chill.
I've been in some fucked up situations, and you assuming that is my mentality.
No, I'm not.
But
I'm
no,
not
yes,
talking
you
about
are. Yeah, you are. For any person that would listen to this would assume that.
No.
So can I please explain why?
No, they don't know what happened.
No one knew you were in the room.
No.
Until you just started speaking.
Yeah.
I just
No
wanted
one
to
even knew you were in
explain
the
why I
room.
asked this question.
Okay, well, hold on for a second. Then let's
We don't know
rewind.
what the question is.
Let's rewind.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm an elder and I'm speaking, and I'm also a bad motherfucker. So when I speak, shut up. Now, let me just say something real quick. I did not come here with a bad back and a bad knee to engage with you. So just shut the fuck up so I don't have to go over there. And I'm serious now. Just shut the fuck up because you ain't part of this conversation. We're talking about hip-hop, the genesis of it, and we're talking about my history. And you asked me an offensive question. Now I'm asking you to shut the fuck up. I'm not even asking. I'm telling you to shut the fuck up.
Okay.
I got fucking kids and grandkids older than you. I got shoes older than you, so just shut the fuck up. Tomorrow when you're not, tomorrow when you're not blunted, think about what the fuck you said to me and realize that I'm a person that very rarely, Dallas has known me for...
I never mean to offend you.
Excuse me.
I would never...
I told you to shut up. I'm not going to tell you again. Dallas knows me a long time. He never seen me get vexed with nobody. So I'm just telling you, shut the fuck up, and we'll forget about it and we'll go on. Tonight...
There was one time we screamed on Chris Lighty.
Well...
rest in peace, Chris Lighty. But the good thing about Chris Lighty was Chris Lighty, he gave it back.
And Chris also had the bona fides to, he had the bona fides, and Chris, R.I.P. Rest in peace, brother.
Yes, indeed.
Damn right.
Because those people that he interfaced with and worked with swore by him, and he was a blessing to them. So, Chris,
What I would say about Chris is that Chris
was Chris.
To his credit, Chris didn't run a label. He managed a bunch of artists the best way he could for their benefit. And at times, Chris had to fall on his sword for the rest of us.
How did Chris get in the conversation?
Well, it reminds me of you and I being you and I interacting with Chris online, and basically taking Chris to task. Because again, the thing we were so concerned with, because we thought we could stop it, we thought we could stop the rampant corporatization of this culture. We thought we could stop this. We thought we could somehow ebb the flow of it.
Dallas, just
why? Why would you want to do that?
Because it became so watered down. It became so unpure.
Dallas, listen to me.
That I needed to wear scuba gear to listen to some shit.
Listen to me, gentlemen. I just came back last week from France, where I was invited as a guest, and I had a beautiful gallery show, and it was strange me doing lectures in a country that speaks a different language, but they speak good English anyway. While I was there, I was invited to be at a b-boy event and some other things, and I just have to say that the corporate powers cannot control the streets. They can control some of the airwaves and some of what nobody listens to that's older than 13 years old. And the hip-hop is alive and well. I just came back from Michigan. Shout out to Governor and...
Were you in Flint?
No, I was actually in Grand Rapids.
Shoot, that Governor, you lost your while if you're going to Flint.
Governor Slugwell invited me out there, and he's doing hip-hop awareness month, and he's a beautiful brother. And there's a restaurant there. If you're in Grand Rapids, please check it out. It's called 40 Acres. You and I, Dallas, would get in great trouble because we never leave. They just come, we go, and they just put the food down, not even charge us. They wouldn't let, it's called 40 Acres, and it's a black-owned soul food, healthy, clean soul food, and it was beautiful. And, everybody was beautiful there. And I just came back from there, and I spoke at two high schools, and one of the high schools was very receptive, and one had a bunch of knuckleheads. So I reminded one of the young boys there, I said, listen, I don't work for Michigan. I don't work for the Board of Ed. I said, I will come down there. I'm from Brooklyn. I'll come down there and slap you. As a matter of fact, come up here. He came up, and he actually helped me run the program. And later, he was one of the 5 kids that stayed there and wanted to build with me for another hour. So that was a beautiful thing. Hip-hop is alive. And they can water it down. They can put pale colors on it. And we need to get past caring about them and Migos or whatever kind of foolishness, and we need to start focusing on the prison industrial system. We need to start focusing on single moms getting food and education for their kids, and we need to start focusing on correction when one of us is attacked by the boys in blue, the gang in blue, and we need to start broadening our scope, and that's what I do here domestically, around the world, in Canada, and that's what we need to do. And I am not a leader, but I'm an alarm clock, a big red alarm clock. I wake people up. And yes, I am referred to as the 6th element, and yes, I'm in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, and yes, I won the Big Apple Film Festival for A Story of My Life, and I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to kiss my own behind. What I want to do is say that if I did it, any of you can do it, and that each of us must stand up and be as much and as deep and as potent and as strong as possible. I'm 71 years old. I don't even know anybody my age. And you look at me and feel my vibe, you're like, God damn. I got women still smiling at me, Like, I'm like, yeah, okay, baby, whatever.
I mean, they think you got money.
Not the way I dress, I'm not jiggy with it.
No, they smell it. They smell it.
Is that what it is?
Small women can smell it.
Is that what it is?
No question.
Is that what it is?
Can we started talking about a little earlier about
Felipe Luciano and
the young
lords.
Yes.
What? Felicia, wait a second.
Let's
There's so much here.
What we're doing is we're dropping names, and I really need the listener a backdrop as to why these names we're saying are relevant and what kind of environment these people are operating in. Okay, because Ernie, we talked off mic about a window, an era in this city in particular, where the black male is public enemy number 1, and every governor, mayor, council person, everybody could get elected to office if all they said was, hey, listen, I'm going to get tough on crime, meaning I'm going to put my foot in a nigger's ass. And and the famous Mayor Koch.
They got a whole TV network called Fox, which gives their host millions of dollars to find creative ways to use the N-word without saying the N-word. Hannity and that other clown, O'Reilly, they got.
You haven't watched that network in a while. I think O'Reilly is been put on vacation.
Yeah, because he was trying to be greasy with women. But Hannity and the rest of them, they get millions of dollars for finding clever ways to say the N-word. And have me on that show just once, because I've seen a lot of us go on that show and get folded. I'm not going to get folded.
They know who to bring on that show, though.
Yeah.
They're very selective. They know. They're strategic.
I think the one person that kind of survived was Tariq Nasheed. Like he already knew what was happening. So
Right.
He kind of premeditated. But everybody else, like
you got to know the movement.
Get folded.
Damon Cam.
They don't get
you got to know the movement.
They don't get enough time to tap in. Because they know that you coming with something, but they
you got to learn how to speak in sound bites.
But what happens?
And that's in hashtags.
I had a radio show for 13 weeks called the Third Eye Studio, and I had nothing but revolutionaries on there. Sam Greenlee, Daruba Spook who sat by the door. Daruba bin Wahad, who got arrested for killing cops, and I almost had Asada on there. And I had pure revolutionaries on there. I had Chuck D. Just trust me. I use it as a revolutionary platform. And the thing that if they ever had me on Fox News,
did you have Drake on there? Why would he? It's a running joke.
We need a video feed.
Who's he dating?
See Ernie's face.
Who's Drake dating?
As I was about to say, the thing that the host of Fox News, what you have to do with them is you instill the fear of death, and you look at them like, I'll be very intellectual with my answers, but I'm 1 inch off your ass. Okay, before the security could come, I've already taken your life, stopped your circulation, okay, and tapped you 3 times, and it's over. I'm already. Okay, so when you speak to them as though they know that you're 1 inch from, they're taking their life. So it's that awareness that makes them change up and they start stuttering. Okay.
Ernie,
yes.
That's a very good point, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to bring it back to the Pablo and Felipe thing. I'm sorry. I know Dallas is. Yes. Because those guys transitioned from the Young Lords into media, right? And in Pablo Guzman's case, I think he was on Channel 5 before Fox, and then this guy was on CBS. And you were starting to tell me something about Felipe earlier.
All right, I'll tell you something very powerful about Felipe, because we're trying to keep this conversation. And I don't do radio shows. I don't do TV. I'm just not into this. I'm doing this for my brother Dallas. We're doing this because we want to keep it in the venue or the over of hip hop. Felipe Luciano was not only a young lord, he was also part of a seminal group that helped create hip-hop as we know it in the MC form. And there was 2 people, 3 people, 4 people that were responsible for that. One, of course, was Gil Scott-Heron, who was such a huge influence on me, but also the Last Poets. If I suggest everybody go out and listen to everything you can find by the Last Poets. They have a song called Niggers Are Scared of Revolution, and they have another song called This Is Madness. And these songs sound like they were made this morning. And Gil Scott-Heron, virtually everything he ever did was an inspiration for me. So these were 2 of the seminal. There was also a radio DJ named Jocko, and Jocko was responsible for the rhyming before anybody did it. Also, you had, I don't know how many of you ever heard the song Anna Banana, what was that? It was all rhyming. So there was a whole bunch. There's a whole history. I had a guy in Liverpool send me a recording of the Beale Street Sheiks. You can barely say it. From 1926. That's a rap record where these guys are talking about their women and their jewelry and their cars. And not their cars, but their jewelry and their women. And it's called the Beale, Beale Street Sheiks. And I think it's 1926 or something, but it's a rap song.
Damn.
And the guy from England is a guitarist, but he's a rock and roll guy. But he sent me that, and I was stunned. So there's a whole history. But Felipe Luciano went from writing for the Daily News. Well, he went from being in the Last Poets to going independent to writing for the Daily News. And he was actually running for Congress at one point. But that brother's flawless.
He's the man.
He's flawless.
I went to camp with his son. I went to Camp Acadia with his son.
See how young these cats are?
And he came to visit. I'll never forget that as long as I live. When he came, it was just like, he's a built guy. And it was like this powerful black dude, man, that just came there. And, it was mostly white kids at the camp. And when he came through, man, it was just like a smiling.
Yeah, let me share something.
Beautiful dude.
Let me share something. A couple of things before I forget. Number one, Dallas was supposed to have a picture that he's going to post of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Oh shit, Ernie's losing his mind. Why is he talking about a space odyssey?
Come on.
In the Space Odyssey, in 2001: A Space Odyssey, there is this central theme of the movie is that there's this monolith, a big black monolith that keeps appearing. It first appears to the apes, and when they touch it, they become men. And then when the men touch it, they go into space and so on and so forth. It's a seminal part of the movie. It's powerful. And to this day, nobody understands, even though it's in your face 24/7, nobody understands what the monolith is. So I suggest all you people listening, go to YouTube or Google or whatever kind of madness you get your information from and look up the monolith. Just look at it. And I'll tell you what the monolith is, just to break your cherry and to open your ears. The monolith.
Let me give him a
sure,
keywords to Google.
Yeah.
Monolith 2001 Odyssey. ODYSSEY.
Space Odyssey.
You don't even need to say space.
All right.
Monolith 2001 Odyssey.
It controls our lives.
It does.
Oh, wow.
There it is. And nobody understood back then what that meant. Everybody's like, oh, the monolith. And nobody, and to this day, people don't understand. But this is what it is. It's his cell phone.
He's holding up his iPhone.
Which controls every facet of our lives, man. So, people slept on that. Now, the other thing that people slept on was the movie Alien. What's the one thing you don't ever want to do is mess with a black woman's children or babies. Okay, the creature in the Alien was a black woman. It was a black creature, jet black, and it also had babies. And here comes these honkies from Earth, and they're going to go up there and, like they do everywhere, put their face in there, sniff where they don't belong to have their noses. And the whole movie is about her protecting her eggs. Yeah, boy. There it is. Whoa, there it is. Ernie's tripping. No,
Ernie, how'd you?
No, Ernie is talking. Ernie is talking.
Ernie is decoding.
He's talking and he's talking.
I want to know how you linked with Khalid Muhammad.
Khalid Muhammad. How did I link with Khalid Muhammad? I linked with Khalid Muhammad through Steve Coakley. Steve Coakley was the scientist. He was a person that taught me how to read. I was already an adult, and of course I'd read half the books in the library. He helped decode them for me and the newspapers and so on. He introduced me to Khalid, and me and Khalid, it was like instant, brotherhood. And me and Khalid did so much together, and they killed Khalid. And,
You met Minister Farrakhan through Khalid?
No, I met Minister Farrakhan through Mosque Number 7. Mm-hmm. And I recently took a bunch of pictures with us hugging and so on and so forth. and there's a lot of people that got stuff to say about Steve and Khalid Muhammad and everybody. But I suggest you go, what they say, make sure your bathroom is clean before you talk about mine. So both of these, all three of these brothers are messengers, and all three of them are people that put information out there, and to some degree they were also prophets. So I have a very varied background. I'll tell you something about one of the elements of hip-hop, and again, we can't forget that hip-hop is 5 elements. We keep focusing on the music and these rappers, and, my man, Shaka Zulu, he calls them rap artists. Rap artists, R.A.P., rap artists pretending, and that's why when the brother said Drake, I was like, Negro, please. But I know he was...
Do you know who's... I'm wondering right now who he's dating. That's a big, something I'm thinking about almost constantly.
It's a running joke.
He's doing my job right now.
Okay, please.
All right, come on, stay on your toes.
I don't want to form an enemies list on that side of the table.
No,
I am not.
Yeah.
I hope you don't recognize me as some enemy. I apologize if my question came off as ignorant. I have tremendous...
Did I ask you to shut up?
Yes.
Did I tell you I wasn't going to tell you to shut up again? I do not want to go to jail tonight. I got a bad back. I got a bad knee. So please, I do not want to go to jail.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too.
Angry at me.
No, I'm not angry at you.
So how did the Khalid... You guys at some point hooked up with Ice Cube, and what's the name of that album where Khalid, he's actually on the album?
Yeah, it's called I Want to Kill Sam.
Yes.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Khalid Muhammad is, if you look and listen to the Public Enemy song, where it's the most chilling thing I've ever heard on a rap record, and it was there that I knew I had to meet Khalid. He said, "Have you forgotten? We were brought here. We were robbed of our name."
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, look it up. And I want you to say it because you got a good voice.
Yeah, it's the opening for Can't Trust It.
Can't trust it. Come on.
It's the opening for Can't Trust It.
It's the most powerful thing, and that proves that you could put so much information in a couple of lines. One of the things in any rapper that you ever met in your life that I've ever talked to, I've told them the same thing. You can have 90 minutes on your record, on your CD or whatever. Give 1 minute back to your people and 1 minute back to your God. The Jamaicans do it. Even the most ratchety dancehall people, they give something back to Jah. And I had the conversation with Tupac, and when he wrote, he said, I forget the whole bullshit album, but one of the things he said on there was, we got money for war and can't feed the poor. How you gonna forget that? That's nailed into your brain. Okay? You found that?
That Khalid Muhammad...
Okay, go ahead. He's gonna read it.
Yes. Have you forgotten that once we were brought
with pain,
here?
brother.
Sorry?
That's scary. Read that with pain.
He's a direct...
Put your chest.
Come on,
King,
man.
put your chest into it.
Come on, King.
Have you forgotten that we once were brought here? We were robbed of our name, robbed of our language. We lost our religion, our culture, our God. And many of us, by the way we act,
we even lost our minds. Yo, listen, Ernie.
Go to drums.
Yes, there you go. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Public Enemy, when we coming up, like they had us looking for Dr. Ben, Khalid Muhammad, reading books. So recently, about 2 years ago, there was a radio host that went at Chuck D, and he was very disrespectful to him on Hot 97. He read like 2-3 paragraphs of shit, just going at him, man. And that guy changed my life. Chuck D changed my life. There's a lot of dudes out here.
How many album covers did I do for Public Enemy?
I don't know.
You
Ernie.
tell us, Ernie.
Let's see. Yo Bum Rush the Show.
You did Your Bum Rush the Show with the cars? That was you?
I did Apocalypse 91, which has so much math that only 5%ers understand the cover. I did Valley to Jeep Beats for Terminator X. I did for the 5 minutes that Sister Soulja was in Public Enemy, I did Slavery's Back in Effect. Shall I go on?
Ernie, man.
Yeah.
Ernie, you got all the Def Jam
right
checks.
now, Ernie.
So Chuck D, man, like that was part of our upbringing, man. And like when I heard dude going off on Chuck, I was like, man, there are guys that are out here that are still here that are not in prison.
Have you ever seen my picture of Chuck with Khalid Muhammad?
No, I've never seen it. Can I see it?
No.
Yeah, look it up. Chuck with Khalid Muhammad by me. Look it up.
So when he goes at him, man, yo, my whole child, you just shitting on everything that I'm about.
You can't shit on Chuck D.
When Rosenberg goes after Chuck.
You said his name.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm happy he did, because I'll say his name too. He's a fucking asshole. Rosenberg, no problem.
When Chuck D followed
Peter
me on Twitter,
Rosenberg.
Okay, right
I want
there.
y'all to know that
Wait.
that was like the highlight of my social media life.
Go down. The second picture to the, right there. Click on that.
Oh yeah. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Brother Ernie did not just come in on the elevator. Now
Wow.
look at that picture. That picture tells you everything that you need to know, but was afraid to ask. Look at that. Okay. All right. Look at
Detroit Pistons hat.
that. And there was only one photographer on this earth that could gain the access. And as far as Rosenberg, I don't even know who that is.
You don't need to.
But listen to me.
Nobody.
Chuck spent time with me and Khalid and Steve and Farrakhan. If anyone can defend themselves, it's Chuck. Chuck is one of the most articulate people in the game, period, next to Yasin Bey.
100%. However,
No, there's no however.
Hold on.
Let somebody
There's a
come.
level of
Let
respect.
somebody step to me on the radio. Let somebody come to me with that.
I believe that at that point, when I think Peter's thing was like, he's old, he's washed up, he doesn't know what's going on. I think that, there was a time on radio, if you said something about Chuck D, they would drag his ass through the streets. Period.
It should be.
I think now we've gotten to a place, to your point earlier, in hip hop where it's kind of whitewash. It's this corporate thing. So guys like him, there's like a confidence. Like I can say what the fuck I want to say. Nothing's gonna happen to me. 1988. They drag his ass to the fucking street. Niggas are just too old. Motherfuckers are in jail, drug addicted, crazy. They got kids they gotta raise. So everybody's just like, oh man, he's just talking, right? But there's a few of us out here, right? There's a few of us out here that will go upside your head, Peter. I'm telling you, there's a few of us that never know. One day might just see you and smack you in your fucking mouth.
Well, one thing, I don't know who this cat is. I don't know nothing about him. I just know that
There's a couple of us still out here that's still with the shits, Peter.
And I know from experience that all these people that you're talking about, if they had me on their show, and I'll tell you a story about BET in a minute, if they had me on their show, they know what kind of person they're dealing with, okay? And that would be, they would have to be suicidal. I got a call from BET. They wanted to interview me. So they sent somebody to my house. They sent a whole film crew, and they spent about 12 hours. Do you know not one word, not 1 minute of that ever got on BET? Not one?
Because they can't censor you.
That's right.
They can't tell you what to say.
I didn't curse. I wasn't even
They can't tell
loud.
you what to say.
But I put so much information out there. I put so many seeds that if they put that on BET,
You'd awaken a whole
you'd have a
generation that
whole
wasn't ready.
forest
There
of
you go.
trees.
Do you know Stanley Crouch?
Uncle Stanley Crouch, Uncle Thomas Crouch.
Oh.
I've read his work. He hates black people. You know who he is? He's that person from the Boondocks.
Uncle Ruckus.
Uncle Ruckus.
Ruckus.
Anything black,
He
would
despises.
Well, you know what? Stanley Crouch hates himself.
attack. Of course.
That's Stanley Crouch's whole issue.
I used to call him Pink Lips.
His whole issue
Mr. Pink
is
Lips.
with himself, and I think it's his self-hate that has kind of formed.
However,
and that's why he's also held up.
However,
he's also
of
held
course,
up.
that's how he got a job. But one thing about Stanley Crouch, I got to give him, he was a good jazz critic. And
Excellent, Jasper.
one of the things that the planets, and we need to follow the planets throughout history have always stayed in their orbit. Okay? and the few that have gone out of their orbit were destroyed, and that caused, that whole. What's that? The
asteroid belt.
Asteroid belt. Thank you. It created the asteroid belt because some of the
buggies just working your way back in.
one of the planets went out of their lane. So if Stanley had stayed in his lane as a jazz critic, it'd been okay. But then he wanted to be Uncle Ruckus, and the minute he saw a black face,
I have a weird respect for that guy because of the whole Harry Allen thing. Like, he took a stand, he hated rap, and he fucking got into it with Harry Allen. I think Harry Allen should have beat the fucking brakes off of him, but he takes a stand for shit. And even though I don't agree with anything that guy's about, but he takes a stand, and he's clear.
Can I tell you, before we started, I said something, I'm going to add it today. I've never told this story publicly, but it has to be told. First, many of the things I'll tell you, I'm not clever enough. You can't make this shit up. And I got pictures to back anything I say. There was a woman who's deceased now called C. Dolores Tucker, who took on hip-hop. Yes, and her motivation was, there's a lot of motivation. She actually sued some rapper that said something about her because her husband wouldn't have sex with her now or some... You look it up in history. Anyway, C. Dolores Tucker was like the antichrist to hip hop. I mean, she was
going against 2 Live Crew, but go ahead.
Yeah, she was just horrible. She said they dissed her, so now she can't have sex with her husband. That's the truth. Anyway, at that time, I was in the rawest of the raw with Public Enemy, Ice-T, Ice Cube, X-Clan. These were my people. And I knew that I would never meet her and never interface with her, so it didn't matter. She was just a voice in the wilderness. Well, it turns out that Dr. Betty Shabazz was killed, and I was asked to be there to help keep the family, the daughters, to be a male force, a strong force at the funeral. So I go to the funeral, and we go to the mosque. Now, there's 2 stories in here. Again, I can't make this shit up because I'm not smart enough. The first one was we go to 96th Street to the Grand Mosque, and the sisters go upstairs, and the men stand downstairs at the mosque, and they had no room for me. And that was okay, I would stand, but they got a chair for me, and they put me, to my left was Muhammad Ali. So meeting him was a great thrill. So this is a noble moment, and I'm heartbroken at Dr. Shabazz, but here's Muhammad Ali, so I felt good. Then they bring another chair, and they put it next to me, and they put Giuliani there. So you have to imagine me sitting between Giuliani and Muhammad Ali. One I worship and one I despise. Anyway, we get to limos, and they put me in the limo right across. I'm sitting 2 feet away from C. Dolores Tucker. And we're driving through Harlem to go up to White Plains to the funeral or wherever. And we're going down. It's a hot, they got the windows open. They got one window. She opens a window. And she's going past some brothers standing on the corner listening to rap music. And we get stuck at a light. And these brothers are there. And they're doing the rap and, the whole. And she's sitting there and she starts her thing. So she looks at me and she says to me, do you know anything about rap? You know anything about these hip-hop? She goes, I said, no, sister, I'm from a reservation in northern Canada, and I've never even I've heard about it. I don't know nothing. She says, good. It's good that you're from, and she goes into this whole thing, and I'm sitting there for an hour on the way up to Westchester,
Yes.
To the funeral. So it gets stranger. Sitting next to her is her husband, and her husband's listening to this shit. And 5 minutes later, I hear this noise, and I look, and it's her husband snoring his ass off. And it gets weirder. So I'm listening to this horse shit, and as we're driving, she's looking out at the kids in Harlem. Look at him. His pants, his underwear, And I'm like, oh, Jesus, please. And I'm getting a headache. So we finally get to the funeral, and they put this piece of wood that's probably no more than 2 feet wide near the grave. And she's walking across that to get, to stand and the imam's there, and she starts to fall. And I'm on the thing with her, and I grab her, and I'm holding her, and she puts her arms around me, and just then there's like 3 photographers, they take the pictures, and here's me and C. Dolores Tucker in an embrace. Well, I knew the brothers, Brother Muhammad and some others, and they were kind enough not to publish it. But that was just one of the, you can't make this shit up. And like I said, I showed you pictures, so it's like, you didn't see my phone before you got here.
No.
Yeah.
During that embrace, did your lips touch?
No.
Okay.
And you were sick, motherfucker.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, could you slow the story down a little bit?
Slow it down.
Both of you, but it was just.
That's what I deal with every week.
Yeah, well, that's your cross to bear.
Yeah, it is.
Got a number.
Jenkins & Jenkins Clothing Company. Special Jenkins & Jenkins do-rags. Extra silk material with the extra long cape. I went to Jenkins & Jenkins because I wanted the cape that goes down to my ankles. Jenkins, do you have the official longest silk cape? Jenkins & Jenkins Italian sneakers. I went to Jenkins & Jenkins and I got a pair of Balenciagos. These are official Italian Balenciagos. Thanks, Jenkins. Jenkins & Jenkins. You need clothes, you need kicks, you need to make a child support payment. Come to our offices. We've got you. 1-800-223-9797.
Ernie.
Yes.
Ernie.
I mean, again, this magnificent career, but you and I begin our dialogue in the early 2000s.
Yes, and I have some of that MySpace dialogue. It wasn't MySpace. There was some black organization that we were part of.
Really?
Black Planet?
No,
you was on Black Planet. Y'all were talking on Black Planet.
It was
Black
some other
Planet.
form. It was something where angry black people.
Black Tail?
Angry black people.
No, because I didn't focus.
Angryblackpeoplemeet.com.
No, this was.
I didn't want the storylines.
This was not Black Planet, but it was intellectual black folk and deep black folk because Sam Greenlee was on there. That's where I met Sam. And the day that I go to Brooklyn to meet Sam Greenlee, who wrote The Spook Who Sat by the Door, which is a story of the first black CIA agent who uses those skills to foment a revolution in Chicago. I go to Brooklyn, and he's laying in bed, and he's just chilling. So I said, Sam, it's an honor to meet you, and I have a bottle of wine for you. And he looks at me. He said, you a dumb motherfucker. And I'm looking, and nobody would say that to me. I said, what? He says, you're going to stand there with a bottle of wine, and you're going to open that shit up so I can drink it. You're just going to stand there and look at me. And this guy's in his 80s, so I'm like, no, sir, I'll open it. And that's how I met Sam. And the last few months of his life, he became like a father figure to me. And he sent me unreleased manuscripts and a bunch of things. He's a beautiful, beautiful brother, and I miss him. I miss him every day. So, Brother Ernie got a whole bunch of things, that you all don't know about.
So what I'm really getting, though, is that despite everything going on, despite Trump, and even before Trump, just the entire continuity of the American system, that the sun still shines, that you have to continue to struggle. You have to continue to fight.
What did I say earlier? Everything that we encounter is a test. And what I tell all these knucklehead, shithead rappers time and time and time and time again, failing is not bad. Because you get knocked on your ass, you're used to it, you get up and you dust yourself off and you start again. The real test is not failure. The real test is success, because all of a sudden you got all these people around you, everybody loves you, your face is all over the place, and every time you go to a bar, you got to, but that's as fake as a $3 bill. It's as fake as a statement from Trump. It's just fake. It's a lie. It's bullshit. It's illusion. It's easier to deal with failure because we're used to that. Success is a hard thing, but success, failure, love, relationships, children, divorce, marriage, everything. Everything's a test. We're on this earth to be tested. Read any of the scriptures, the Quran, anything. All of this shit is a test. Negative people, positive people, success, failure, it's all a test. And I learned early on how to turn all that shit into...
Was your faith ever shaken?
Only every day. only every day of my life. Shaken, but not stirred. That's why it's 71. That's why it's 71. You know, let me just say it's 71. That's all. I'll just leave it in the atmosphere.
Viagra. Yo, listen. So
No,
I
fuck
want
Viagra.
what? How dare you, Michael?
No.
I'll tell you something, man. Just looking at those pictures and hearing your stories, it gives me such hope for these current rappers that we're kind of like. I look at these rappers that you shot in their prime, and they were kind of, some of them were assholes. They were knuckleheads, right? And these kids now, we were all assholes and knuckleheads, and we grow up and we learn. And thankfully, like our generation, we had Chuck D, but we also, you know, there was a lot of other shit that we were listening to that influenced us in the other direction. I think now, like, you know, Childish Gambino, we have Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, for every like quote unquote knucklehead rapper.
I have some names that I'm going to throw on the table for a minute that will revolutionize this conversation, but I'm not impressed with any of them that you just mentioned. Not impressed at all. And one just got the Pulitzer Prize, which to me is a disgrace. But that's just me. There's a brother from, and look him up, bro. There's a brother from the UK called Akala, and I think you need to go Akala and Akala and look up Fire in the Booth. He's probably the best rapper pound for pound on the earth today, Akala. Okay? Akala. Look up Fire in the Booth on YouTube.
Is he better than Drake? I don't know, man.
Who's Drake dating?
I just want to know who Drake dating. All this revolution talk, man.
How many of you know who Timothy Taylor is?
Can't say that I do.
No.
None of
Timmy
you?
Turner?
Timothy Taylor. Did I stutter? Do I have a lisp? Taylor.
Turner.
Timothy Taylor.
Okay,
You all know who Timothy Taylor
I have no
is.
idea who that is.
You all know.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Wait
probably
a
all
second.
great rappers. Can we talk about rappers that
Wait a
people
second.
care about, Ernie?
Well, that's because they haven't heard it, goddammit.
Okay.
It's my job to let them hear it.
Got it.
Who is Timothy Taylor?
Who is Timothy Taylor? Oh, shit. That's Wise Intelligent. From
Yes.
Timothy Grimes.
Timothy.
Oh, Wise Intelligent.
Wise Intelligent.
come on, man.
He
You
has
should've just said Wise
He
Intelligent.
has a song called Illuminati. He has another song called
Rock
I
this
Said
funky
It.
joint.
Wait,
That's my favorite one.
He has another one called I Said It, which takes a different thing on what's that clown that got away with murdering the kid for candy? In Florida, standing ground.
Oh, Skittles, the Zimmerman.
Zimmerman.
Yeah.
You got to see his video. I Said It, and it's a take on Zimmerman, and it's powerful, beautiful,
Wise
awesome.
Intelligence stayed the course. He's
Okay.
stayed the course.
Yes.
You know, he hasn't
Yes.
gone astray.
If anything,
I think he's one of the most talented rappers ever.
Ever.
I've seen with Dallas
That's
once we
the
went to
video.
go. We saw him at Car Wash
Okay.
in his heyday.
Wait a second. Wise Intelligent, aka
great rapper.
Timothy Taylor. You have to see. You have to recheck him, because I had him on my radio show, and he said he thanked God that his brother gave him a 5% name, Wise Intelligent, instead of, Bubble Butt or whatever, whatever silly name, because when he became Wise Intelligent, when he had that name, he had to live up to it. So he's a beautiful, beautiful brother. And trust me, Akala, Timothy Taylor, there's a brother out of Pittsburgh called Jasiri X. How many of you know about him?
Jasiri X.
Okay.
So Jasiri, early Combat Jack show when we first year.
Yeah.
We had Jasiri X with Assad Wright and I want to say Little C's.
I missed that show.
Triple.
Yes, I missed that show.
I think you was.
No, I think I missed that one. I think I missed it.
We get shot with Jasiri X.
Yeah, Jasiri
I
X.
think we're at a time where we're going to start hearing more radical rappers.
Well, here's my point.
Yes.
It's not. Listen to me.
Bobby Sessions, what up, baby?
Wait. Here's my point. and listen very carefully what I'm going to say. It doesn't matter what anyone plays on the radio or doesn't play. You have YouTube, you have all these 50 different things. All you got to do is take your lazy ass and start listening to stuff. Forget Drake and all this other bacon, shake and bake and all this shit. And, you know, who's that clown that says slavery was a choice? You know, we don't need to listen to these dipshits. Okay, we need to go and search for ourselves. Jasiriax, Akala, who's brilliant, Timothy Taylor, wise, intelligent. There's so many gifts.
Technique. I mean,
Immortal Technique. And there are women that are just melting this shit. And you need to just take your lazy ass and look for good music.
RuPaul.
See, that's why I don't. That's why I don't do drugs, you know.
Burnout season.
I think we're ripe for a new consciousness in rap. I think it's time. And I do like the idea of conscious rap and radical rap. I just want it to be good. Ernie.
Hey, Miguel, I think it's time. I think it's time for music outside. I mean, we have flattened the earth, so I think it's time for music. I think it's time for music outside of the United States. I think maybe Flint or Puerto Rico are the only two places that can really give us.
You know, they're both in the United States, right?
Well, but I'm saying that Flint and Puerto Rico are the only two places in the United States that could deliver.
Puerto Rico is killing it right now.
We've got to go outside of the U.S. We've got to go into Africa.
Right.
We've got to go down to Brazil. We've got to go into Afghanistan.
Well, there's a resurgence.
Wait a second.
Yeah,
Man,
big time.
Get out of here. In reggaeton, listen very carefully to what I'm going to say, and I hope it pisses some people off. The first reggaeton, the most powerful, was called Reggaeton Latino. And that was by a black man, and it is, and I put it up against Public Enemy or anybody, it's the darkest, blackest, scariest video I've ever seen in my life, and it's the most incredible. And if you just turn it on, Reggaeton Latino, and they've tried to take it off YouTube and everything else, but it's the blackest, most angriest thing I've ever seen, even angrier than Immortal Technique. And it's called Reggaeton Latino. Don
Omar? Really?
Yes. And if you watch this video,
8.7 million views.
Okay, but listen to me carefully. When the powers that be saw, when the powers that be saw Don Omar, when they saw Reggaeton Latino, they instantly got the whitest white boy they could get, Daddy Yankee, and that Cuban with the bald head or whatever, you know, and they put all these people there, and they started watering it down. They had big titty girls and, you know, the whole thing. And they watered it down because they said, we cannot afford another hip-hop. We cannot afford another X-Clan. We cannot afford another 5 or 6 years of these people. We're trying to dumb people down, and they're trying to smarten people up. So this brother... This Reggaeton Latino is probably the most powerful video you ever seen your whole damn life. Right there. That shit is...
Tego, too. Tego super...
Tego came out at the same time.
Right, yeah.
And the reason they shut them cats down, Daddy Yankee, Calbito, what's his name? The bald-headed cat. Pitbull. You know... Come on, they put all these cats.
They push who they want to push.
You know what?
They push.
It might be some credence to that because you saw how reggaeton became like a spectacle, right? And then it kind of died, and now it resurfaced, as I mentioned earlier. But it resurfaced not with this energy.
Yeah, it's a pop energy.
Watch this video, Reggaeton Latino, with the sound, and trust me, this is the most incredible video you ever seen in your life, and it will compel you to go and burn down.
I'm gonna tell you who shut this video down. The Latinos. Nobody hates Afro-Latino more than Latino. More than Blanco Latino.
That is so true.
Shout out to Zahara Kelly.
Yes. Shout out to Bad Dominicana. But there's too much Afro-Latino in this video, Ernie, and that's why it had to be banned. Right, Roberto Clemente, we have to shut it down.
He's in there.
I know. We have to stop. We have to stop that. All this black Latino stuff, Ernie, it has to be stopped.
I have another pressing question.
Sure.
Who are the so-called true Native Americans? Again, I'm not asking for my frame of reference. I'm asking because there is some kind of confusion, obviously, in this country as it relates to that and that period of time and what that means.
Okay, I don't know how far I got to go back. I've only been here 71 years, but they're finding out, the scientists, that white people need to know everything. They need to know how mosquitoes fuck. They need to know how bears kiss. They need to know everything. So
spiders.
They don't know where they came from, and they don't know shit about shit, but they know all this miscellaneous shit. So the deeper they go into the earth, the more that they find out that we've been here 5,000, 10,000, 30,000 years. It's been here forever. We've been here. Okay, and that story about the Bering Strait is bullshit. The Ice Age, because 99% of what you hear is lies. Okay, that's number one.
Yes.
Number two, 5 states, I believe Texas, all them southern states were actually Mexico, and the same places that they're calling illegal aliens were actually part of Mexico, and those people were indigenous to that land. So let's talk about it. Yeah.
I just want to, just as a footnote, so for the slow people out there, so we're talking about, let's say, California, New Mexico,
Texas,
Arizona, Nevada, where else?
We're originally Mexican, and New Orleans, that whole Louisiana.
Yes.
Okay, that was all native territory. Mm-hmm. Okay, native meaning people that were native to the land for, the great and glorious conquistadors came with their religion and their bullshit. And so the more they go back in time, the more they find out that we were here. Okay, we are here and we're going to be here. But the same people know everything about everything, don't know where they came from. Okay, they don't know. They've now gotten that they came from India. Okay, and that's interesting and fascinating, but it's bullshit. So they know everything about mosquitoes fucking. They know everything about everything, spiders, and but
ghoulies.
Yeah, but they don't know anything about themselves.
Dinosaurs.
But the more they go into this land, the more. Also, let me bring up the N-word, meaning Negro. There were no Negroes, and let me get back into my science fiction bag. How many of you saw The Mummy? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. How many of you saw Frankenstein? Okay. Frankenstein was the nigger. Frankenstein was created from all these different things, and when it found out what it was and who it was, it went back and killed the master and his family and his children. Okay. And that was the Negro. There was no Negroes. Okay, and there were no any of that. If you go to Africa, there were various nations. In the United States, there were no Indians. There were none of that shit. There were native people, but they were native to the land, and they were also part of various nations, including 500 nations, different languages, different cultures, different religion, different everything. You had the Aztec, the Maya. The Maya and the Aztec created the zero. Without the zero, these illiterates would not be able to count past 9. Okay? And if you go into the earth and go into South America, Central America, you'll see pyramids that are the same size and shape and direction as that are lined up to the belt in the sky, the same as the ones in Egypt. And the more you go back and the more you find out that these are profound and deep. Now they're trying to say it was aliens and this and that, but there were cultures that were wiped out by the rains and the floods and the ice age that were great cultures. And the more we go into the earth, the more we find out. So there were no Indians, there were no, and it wasn't because, and I'm going to share something with you that you don't know, where the word Indian came from. It didn't mean that we were from India. The Catholic priests came here and they wrote back to Turin in Italy and said that we found the people here to be indios. Indios in Spanish means in God or with God. In God or with God. And once they understood that we were in God or with God, meaning that we were in harmony with one another and we were in harmony with ourselves, they called us Indios. But because 85% of the people in Europe, A, didn't wash, except on their birthday once a year, and B, were illiterate, they didn't know what the word Indios meant. And that's just the beginning.
So what's the relationship between natives, indigenous to this land, and Moors?
You go to Ireland and travel. What do they say? History is best qualified teachers as well as travel. You go to Ireland, you see these people with red faces and orange hair, and the hair is nappy as Aretha Franklin without a wig. Okay? That's number one. Damn. You go to Spain, I believe the Moors ran Spain for 400 years? And they don't have nothing. You go to Spain, there ain't a goddamn thing that shows a Moor anywhere. They've totally whitewashed it. You won't see a Moor statue or Moor nothing. You'll see a whole lot less, but not anymore. Okay? And Sicily, there's a famous scene between... there's a famous scene in True Romance where the two guys... Christopher Walken and old boy are talking about the Sicilians.
Right before he kills.
Right before he kills him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken, one of the best all-time things in movie history, and it talks about that. And it talks about the Moors. So you need to look that up. And even though I'm ashamed to admit it, the person who told me about that dialogue was Russell Simmons. And Russell Simmons got such a jolt out of it. He enjoyed it so much that he told me about it. I looked it up and I was hysterical. But
it's a great scene. It's an amazing scene.
It's an amazing scene, but it's also a very truthful scene. So when you start looking into the Moors, who were the Moors? Okay, and the more you get in, the deeper you get into the Moors, the more you find out about who you are. No matter what you are, the more you find out about who you are. And Islam and a whole bunch of things, man. I have been blessed in my life, again, you can't make this shit up, to be around some of the most beautiful people and the most informative people. Khalid Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, Ossie Davis, Amiri Baraka, and his son Ross Baraka. James Baldwin used to call me. I got pictures of James, and sadly, he invited me to lunch several times because his brother owned a restaurant on 96th Street, and we could go there and eat for free. But he said, I'm going to France. When I come back, I'm going to call you again. And he died in France. But I met Richie Havens was my childhood friend. I met the Dalai Lama. I've met political prisoners from Tibet. I've worked with them. I've been able to travel the world without ever buying a plane ticket and without having a passport. And ask me how I do that. You look in my wallet and see an indigenous card that gives me travel around the motherfucking planet, okay? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of shit you know about me, a whole bunch of shit you don't. And you know what? I might be crazy, I might be lying, but guess what? I got the pictures and the evidence to back it. And anybody...
You were raised in Brooklyn. Ernie, were you born in Antarctica?
One of the things...
in the savage land?
One of the things people got to learn pretty quick is you don't bet against this horse, okay? That's number one. Number two... Never mistake the gray hair and the smile for anything, and never mistake kindness for weakness.
Where in Brooklyn, Ernie? Sorry. No, because I'm getting a lot of Brooklyn from you, and it just came out. I'm sorry.
Well, Biggie, in his compassionate, said, give love, it's the Brooklyn way.
Yeah.
But after talking with me, Biggie wrote, that Brooklyn bullshit, we're on it. So let's keep it, and there are parts of Brooklyn that are whiter than Antarctica and whiter than Sweden, and dangerous. So a lot of people think of Brooklyn as a black bastion or a soulful place.
No.
There are places.
No, of course.
There are places that are just rude. I mean, half of the struggles we had in the 80s and 90s was about Howard Beach and all that bullshit.
Right.
So
Bensonhurst.
Yeah, Bensonhurst. So people get all tripped out on Brooklyn.
I'm just thinking about like your Brooklyn when you grew up, like how.
Well, as I go around the world, people ask me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Can't you tell by my voice?" No, because you don't sound like you. They think I'm from California.
Everybody knows you're from Pitkin and Dumont.
You don't sound like you sound like you're from New York, Ernie.
Do I? Well,
yes.
To you, but to people when I go around the world, they don't know. They say Canada or Latvia, I don't know where the fuck. I don't really care.
Wait, Broadway and Halsey?
No, Broadway and Marcy.
Broadway and Marcy.
Yeah.
Right under the tracks.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bodega there.
That
they
bodega.
Keep shotguns.
You know how often that bodega gets shut down for selling shit?
Yeah, I know. Once a week.
K2,
yeah,
shout out to K2.
But back then, they used to keep a shotgun, a sawed off under the desk, under the shit. I remember. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother life.
Interesting.
I hope I haven't given away too much information.
Why photography? How did that start?
Very simple. I looked at the job description, and it said no heavy lifting, big salary, lots of pretty women, and I said, "Shit, I'm going to become a photographer, man." You know.
And it's funny because our photographer, brother Chris, saw the same one ad, but also said looking for a heavy creep personality.
Why?
Creep.
He's a creep.
Like somebody do something.
I'll tell you something, Ernie.
Somebody who wants to
today,
like to put his finger
Instagram has created like a world of photographers. So like when you came up, where you kind of like you mastered it. You put in your 10,000 hours. You took all these pictures. Now it's kind of like anyone can call themselves a photographer. Any creep with a camera with a Canon can become a camera.
Listen, I did not.
Photographer.
I did not get my props from 10,000 hours. What happened? And let's keep it 100. I was a painter. And if you go...
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Go to Lulu.com.
Wake up.
He didn't tell me where to go yet.
Go, Lulu.com. And look up my name and look at the books on art that I've done.
Wow.
Yes. Now,
so you were a painter?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
So when I picked up a camera, I already knew about light and shading and expression. I mean, it was just like... instead of spending 6 months painting her, I could do it in 30 seconds. I was like, shit, and plus I get paid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to wait for somebody. I don't have to wait to die and find out, you know, oh, he was a great this or a great that.
Right.
But, it was instant. It was like...
Ernie, do you see art galleries and art fairs?
Hold on a second. Ernie, did you give him permission to speak yet?
He's asking questions.
You're fucking up my last name. There's only one L in there and 2 C's.
Did you give Barghees permission to speak yet? Because I mean, he's still on microphone embargo. Ernie is.
What's your question?
Ernie's running this.
Okay.
Ernie's running this session.
Okay, excuse me. Look. 4 decades of work by artwork. Keep going. You're going to see some amazing things here. Go click over on the right.
Do they let us preview?
Right here?
Yeah, right there. Look.
On
yeah,
Lulu.com.
This?
Yeah, click on that.
Let's make sure you open up Ernie Paniccioli.
Dylan, excuse me.
Paniccioli?
Bob
Wow,
Dylan.
that's awesome.
Excuse me, guys.
They won't let me take it.
Listen, Bob Dylan gave me the name for that book, A Series of Dreams. And back up. You see that book?
Yeah.
I did that between 1967 and 1974 as I traveled the world. And it's a collage book. I did that cover.
Wow.
And the back cover is equally powerful. And the entire book is way ahead of its time. Okay? So keep going. There's other art books that I've done. So besides being a martial artist, I was a fine artist. There you go. Look at the sister there. A decade of color artwork. Click on that. See if you can get a big one.
Probably have to do it on Google.
There you go. Look. All right. Now keep going.
Who's that? Who's the subject of that? Is that one of your paramours?
Yes.
Oh.
And
she's beautiful.
Well, now she's old and she's teaching at Columbia University.
All right, she's still beautiful.
She's still bougie too. Back up. You see that picture there? Look at that picture.
This one?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about these books. Look, that the whole book is
back when Jay-Z was still wearing gold teeth.
Yeah, but wait a second. Wait.
Aaron, you have like 17 streams of income, bro. I like this.
Wait. You have to see who some of these headshots are. There some
we can't preview it here, but hold on, get one more cover, King.
No,
get the cover of the punk rock book.
Yeah.
The way you see the hip hop world having been affected by corporate money, do you see?
I didn't say that.
Well, you said it was colonized.
I said it was colonized.
So who is the acting agent in the colonization of hip hop?
You tell me.
I think it was corporate. I think it's labels that are changing the image of hip hop.
Look up the punk book. Yeah, but I'm saying
We gotta look it up on Google. Internet. We're gonna make sure you get these links so that you
in the show notes that we never do.
While we got people's ears, I don't want to hold people's ears hostage while we're here scrolling through the web.
I'm trying to get some kind of revenue stream, like the brother said. It sounded like urine. That's how money should flow, like urine.
Over here.
Why should I be an OG and a legend and not get paid for it?
Damn right. Damn right. I agree.
I took vows in my life, but I never took a vow of poverty.
100%. Thank you.
Dig that.
To that point, Ernie, I think Barker uses you were starting to talk
Well,
about.
I was gonna say like the way.
Hold on a second. Ernie,
Yo,
may Barker
that ass.
Barker use to speak.
He told me.
Hold on for a second.
The gentleman
He has to say.
spoke.
Not if he asked that same question the 17th time about who colonized hip hop or who's making the money.
Nah.
Okay, so Barker, you're gonna get one question. Make it a good one. Don't fuck up this chance, Barker.
Don't fuck it up.
Okay.
A lot of pressure.
Right.
What is he, a token? I mean, you know.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
He's-
I mean, token tennis player.
Okay.
He's going to teach us how to play.
Nah, I was just gonna say, in order to break away from the galleries and the art fairs that have turned art into just a commercial venture, do you think that people that are looking to actually sell art and make money for art in New York and basically anywhere right now have to find new creative ways to sell it, not just through online platforms, but through working with businesses and entities that haven't really been known historically to pump money into art?
Who else would patronize? I mean, first of all, who
Yeah.
else has the resources to be patrons? It's still, listen, we still need to take money out of the
Or
rich
at least
families.
cross market with art.
We still need to take money from rich
If you
people.
go back to one of the greatest painters that ever lived, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, they had patrons. If you go back into the 20th century and the 21st century, ain't nothing changed. The difference, and it's not really a difference, is that a lot of people have art not because they want something beautiful or exceptional or radical or enlightening on their wall, but because they can say, oh, this is a Warhol or whatever, and it's a status symbol, and it has become a medium of exchange. Like they used to laugh at us for having rocks, shiny rocks, and we used to, trade for a skin. Now they're doing it. They're using plastic. So,
Now they use a plastic square.
Yeah. So
with a metallic chip. Inside.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing has really changed in the art world. I have found a way through my brief sojourn on this planet to always make money. And that's because my shit is so hype and so dope, people got to pay for it, and they want it. If I was a poo putt, then I'd be asked out. So I really don't care. If people buy my work, buy my books, I don't give a shit. I got mine. And like Red Fox said one night, and I loved it. He did a live show, and he said he was doing a routine, and these drunks were in the front talking, and he says, "Listen, fucker." He says, "We do carry knives." He says, "I don't have to be up here making jokes and entertaining you. I'll find you in the alleyway and cut your ass and take your money. So shut the fuck up and let me do my thing." So as long as they continue to pay me, I'm good. If they ever fuck up and cock block my revenue streams,
you gonna put the ski mask on?
I still have it in my closet.
I don't think you can't do that anymore to artists. There's no clock blocking anymore. The internet has opened it up so like Instagram and Facebook, guys like you, it's a wrap. They can't do it to you anymore because guys like me will seek you out. I have a credit card. I will put a credit card down.
Have you ever called me and asked for a picture?
No, I haven't.
Will you ever?
I'll do it today. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was about to say, I have your book before I knew.
Well, someone gave it to you. Calm down.
Somebody gave me the book.
Calm down.
Shut up. I hate you.
Ex-boyfriend.
I hate you. So I got the book. So before I put two and two together, I was like, oh shit. I have this man's book at my house. And I completely left it home. And I'm like, fuck.
That sucks. You're right.
You're right. I
That's
was such an airhead.
Anyhow.
Yeah. Completely dropped the ball.
But I do support. What's the Haitian guy that does all the models and shit? What's his fucking name? He's a popular guy too. Ricky Powell. I collect his shit. Like, you're going up on my wall, guaranteed. What's the other the Muslim brother?
I was
Jamel
about to say,
Shabazz.
what, Hebrew Brantley?
No, Shabazz. The
K. Henry
photographer.
Wiley?
Yeah, okay. I wish. But yeah, man, I don't think
Barkley, what's the guy's name? Barkley?
Mr. Shabazz.
Jenkins?
Mr. Shabazz.
Jamel Shabazz.
So
And
I don't.
he's not Muslim.
He's not. I thought he was. I assumed. I'm sorry. So I assumed. I apologize to Mr. Shabazz for assuming he was Muslim. But I don't think there's any more cock blocking. I think.
I don't know. Wait, I take that back. I know he's not in the Nation of Islam. I don't know if he's Muslim. I do know he's not in the Nation of Islam.
I have
But
seen
to
Jamel
Barkley,
Shabazz
he's-
with bow ties, though, so I'm going to lean.
Shit, I've worn bow ties.
I have one on now. So
Well, you don't be Muslim some days.
So to Barker Yeezus' point, there's no
Muslim, the word Islam means submission to God or submission.
So we're all Muslim.
So we're all Muslim, exactly.
In some way.
I don't know.
I didn't fast.
I'm just saying, you don't have to vouch for any of us, but you do have faith.
Do you see
Your
that
faith,
submission?
your faith gets challenged. You meet the challenge every single day. You wake up in the morning. You give thanks.
3 days ago, I woke up and I thought I had been shot. I said, these sons of bitches have finally got me. I thought I'd been shot. And I couldn't get out of bed. And every time I moved, it felt like somebody was stabbing me. And it's because I had an injury, and I don't know how I got the injury, but maybe being in 4 countries in 3 weeks might have done it in the airports. But I'm here tonight. I made a promise I'd be here, so I'm here. And I'm not going to I didn't let cancer stop me. I didn't let a hernia stop me. I didn't let a knee stop me. I didn't let a broken hand or any of the shit that
Getting after it. I love it.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Damn right.
I love it.
I'm not going to let my body stop my spirit, because the body is a temporary respite. It's a temporary. This here.
Oh, man.
You see this? This is jacket.
He's a
take
cutie.
The jacket off. Then another time he'll take the body off. But the spirit is eternal.
How about his hair? Just show him your hair.
I seen his hair.
Oh, it's beautiful. Look at
That
that.
ain't got shit to do with shit. One thing.
His hair's almost as nice as yours, Ernie. I'm just saying. Internet. Ernie got bars on bars on bars. For the next episode, for the comeback, Ernie, for the comeback. Let's save some of this heat. Internet, you got more than you.
So who was taking the pictures of
You got
Ernie's
more
work?
than you bargained for tonight. We got no more questions.
Sorry.
Hey, Shmigga, we got no more questions tonight. Ernie, it was so good. It's so good to see you anytime I see you. All right, your energy, your wealth of knowledge. Man, we talked some New York shit that they didn't even get to hear about. So we'll have to get that back on the next episode. All right? Internets.
And Dallas, as much as I love Mr. Penn, he didn't feed me. He didn't offer me food. I come in here hungry as a goddamn grizzly bear, and there's not even a.
No, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. There's not another. Hold on for a second. We got some vegan fish patties here. We got some things for you, Ernie. Don't act like you see my fat ass and you think we ain't got food. Come on, internets. Catch us on the next episode of Talkitecture. Catch us on the next episode, all right?
I'm honored to
be
here.
We wilding in here. We are wilding in here right now.
I'm honored to be here tonight.
We're humbled.
And even though some of these brothers need a refresher course in good manners and dialogue and safety.
The Bronx, Chi-Town.
They young boys.
Even though some folks.
We also got some new rules here. There's supposed to be no talking from anyone who hasn't been introduced on the mic.
Recording.
Okay.
No side chatter.
All right, so we got to work it out.
Other than the fact that some of these brothers need a refresher course in good manners and safety, okay, because they don't know if this old man is crazy. or just look crazy, or maybe sane, maybe not sane, maybe insane, maybe outsane. You know, they were very, you know, they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, what these two buttons do.
Internets, there you go right there. There you go right there. Be safest.
What these buttons do.
Talkitecture, y'all. Catch y'all on the next one.
Thank you, Ernie.
The Talkitecture podcast is a presentation of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to Combat Jack. Episodes are executive produced by A. King and Dallas Penn. All episodes are engineered superbly by Brother Christopher. 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 By Brother